Hey, we're live. So, welcome everybody. This is TFC Live, Season 3, Episode 46. And there are a couple of titles to this one. Robin on the slides got Bringing Home the Bacon, PvP Refactor, Protractor, and Prefactor, and all that sort of stuff. And I just thought, WrongThinker Thinks, Part 4, Take 2, whatever it is. I don't know. But anyway, evening, Robin. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. And I hear it's a bit warmer down under below.
Yes, it is.
So you feel more suitably clothed now?
Yes, and it's more like home.
And more like home. Good. Evening all in Sidebar chat. Who we got in so far? I see James in there. Hefe's in there as well. Hey, bud. Shane's in there as well. What's we got? Gemini's in there. Doug's in there. Geordie's in as well. Captain Matt's in. And Ford's in moderating. So be good. Or should you get Forded? Literally. Is that a term? Don't know. Anyway. Right, let's get some slides up and running because there are a few. Some of this is known, okay, and some of it will look a little bit sort of in between the lines, to be honest. Right, there we go. Bookmark as ever. And that's the content for tonight. So quite a bit. Some of it we'll just brush over. Some of it's been and before a couple of times, but it's interesting stuff that's come out from WrongThinker on the forums as well. So we're going to go through that in quite a bit of depth, to be honest. Anyway, right. So this is the first thing we had. So this was CM Chris. Basically, he said, as you can read there, there's no update this week. No major update this week. Okay, because obviously this was going to be the instigation of the PvP sort of refactor, i.e., all the bits were going to change in your bases and everything else in your ships, and it was all going to go to it would have gone to rats basically if it happened this week. I think, to be honest. So that has not happened. It's been deferred at least by 1 week. And then we know there's another final public preview. So I believe it's sort of coming out Wednesday, is it? And it's going for quite some time, Robin, is that right?
Yeah, I think, I know it's going to be not just like a single day. It's going to be, I think, like 3 or 4 days. And, I agree with you. Although people were planning to do stuff, I'd much rather have it late and right than early and wrong. And this does show... They have actually, and I can attest to this because I've given feedback from testing as well, they're actually taking all of the feedback back from the players and they've been contacting players on some of the things that they've brought up, and I've brought up a couple of things as well. So I'm happy to see that they've actually pushed this back a week so that they can answer all of their questions and make any final adjustments. And, I would expect this, and I think Chris said this on Discord, that yes, they're going to release this. We know it's not going to be perfect. There are going to be things that get found, as people go through with this. But the more work that they do now up front, the less that, we deal on the back end.
Yeah, so this will be shot 4 basically, and an idea is that this one's public, i.e. people can stream it and that sort of stuff, and there'll be a few people in there from different locations, alliances. Look, I know everybody's not going to get in there. Let's not have the bone of contention. Everyone's like, why am I not in there? And it's all selected few and that sort of stuff. Look, I don't know how they stream the individuals. It went out there. That's not my business. I'm really not interested. The fact is, I've spent a lot of time in these previews just watching people, and they are doing some genuine stuff. Okay, they genuinely are. And the fact that this last one is public, so you can see what they can see. If you look at my last stream, I showed you all the stats that are available. I've got a video of a long half-hour video that I'm going to make public. It's up at the moment, but I'm going to check the stats again, and then you can see everything that they can see. So there's nothing that you can't see. I will stream a couple of sessions because it's going to go for a while. I'm not going to stream it all because I'm not G-Daddy, and that's not going to happen. Okay, but I'm going to stream a couple of sessions of this. I'm not exactly sure how long it is, but I'll try and do it from a defender's perspective and then have a little go at trying to do it from attacker's perspective. But bear in mind, it's always subject to change. So I've been really cautious about doing the attacker's perspective. I've been more about how's it affecting the turrets and how's it affecting the, the concept of base ships and that sort of stuff. So it's always difficult to stream things in a preview and then people go, oh, those ships were rubbish that you suggested, So I'm always a bit cautious about that. So
and you raise a really good point, and I did see the thread, and I know it's frustrating that not everybody can be in there, and that's just simply because of a size restriction. But I can tell you, and I mean I've been a part of a few myself. I can tell players we don't just jump in there for 30 minutes and looks good and see you. I mean it's hours.
It's hours,
hours and hours, and it's not just take this ship and go smash TSM's base because the only time I can kill him is in the test region. It's I mean, you're looking at stats, you're looking at individual components and turrets, and it's not a quick and easy process. And there is a lot of testing that gets done by a lot of people and a lot of very smart people. Now, yeah, some of those smart people are in some of the top alliances, but that doesn't mean that they're not doing testing or that they're just testing because they're a huge, massive whale corner. I mean, it's incredible the amount of work that's gone into this.
Yeah, I mean, and the little things like if the guy's in there, like Salty sees something, he'll just go, hang on a minute, and he'll just take control of your base, and he'll go and look at it, and he'll replicate what you've been doing, and go, need to make a twitch, and then he'll make a little change and that sort of stuff, and go, everybody refresh, we've done this now, and that sort of stuff, So it's not about. It is tiresome, in fact, to be honest, but it's worth doing. It's worth doing properly. Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, if they're going to do this, and this is the biggest game ever, isn't it? So, I mean, it's got to be right. I'm sure it won't be perfect, but they've got to do what they can do. So, yeah, Ford, you had your base taken over. I know, Robin, you had yours taken over, and so did a couple of others as well. So,
yeah, there's a lot of work, and the people that are in there do an awful lot of job and an awful lot of work, and George gets in there and gets into the nitty gritties, into the stats, and then there's folks that are looking at ship builds, and so yeah, it's a very involved process.
Yeah, no, I agree. Anyway, so that'll be up. I'm not sure when it is towards the end of the week. So if it is Wednesday sort of time, I'll probably try and do a bit of a stream, and then I'll put it on the page and that sort of stuff. And I'm hoping Hefe can get in this time as well. It'd be really, really good to see Hefe in there as well. So I'm a big advocate of that. So please, if you can, guys, and we'll try and push the boys to let him in, because it'd be the right thing to do. I think, to be honest, he's hard to run a page if you don't know what the hell's going on. So. I would like to see that if possible. Anyway, that's not for me to force, but I'd like to see it. Anyway, right, moving on. So WrongThinker, it was a massive great post and that sort of stuff. Let's look at the ins and outs of that if we could. So he's basically reiterating what has sort of been said, but unclear stats and values. So I've changed the words a little bit to make it a little bit more TSM-ish and not so much more WrongThinker-ish, because it's a little bit sort of like above my IQ level, to be honest. So so trying to determine which weapons best fit can be difficult enough when you have to factor in ranges and damages and salvos and reload and then pass through and then over damage, blah 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 blah, and goes on and on. So that's one of the reasons it's going to be adjusted. And then also fleet, i.e. PvP attacking, is just like, yeah, you scratch me, I scratch you, and whoever gets scratched the most dies. And that's basically it, isn't it? It's boring as hell.
Yep.
So that's basically the two main reasons that sort of like hitting bases is you either get in the back, run past everything else, or you don't get in the back, or you get massively overpowered turrets that just no one gets in. So it's been a bit ridiculous, and the numbers have been escalating and climbing for the last 2 years, and just the millions is just ridiculous. So that's it. So yeah, so excessive amounts of potential damage plus the bonus of stacking in bases, the high deflection, the health ratios, attacking large endings, it just goes on and on and on and on. Anyway, so thank the Lord they listened to the players, because it was the players that didn't want it anymore. We whinged like hell when T7 came out, the duration, the time it took to release, and then the delivery method of and then these new armors that had to come in to obviously give you huge amounts of, bypass and that sort of stuff. It was just getting nuts. I mean, I hate to think what the T8 would have to have been, like 10 million or something stupid. So,
yeah, how could you top Tier 7?
Yeah, I mean, 4.6, and that sort of stuff. I mean, where the numbers go, you have to have another 0 on the end, and then the boxes
tactical nukes. Shoot one thing, and the base is obliterated. I mean, that's
pretty
bonkers, much what they were left with.
Yep. And then that power gap between Tier 7, Tier 8 would just be huge, and so let's just say they've had to sort of like have a real good rethink and that sort of stuff. And I think it's really been overdue. Venom was on the weekend, that sort of stuff, and he also sort of said that he felt, because he's been in a couple of previews, that he felt that it took him right back to sort of like the later Tier 5, beginning of Tier 6 sort of stuff. That's where he felt it, and I sort of think about the sort of same. So King's Rick type sort of stuff. So.
Well, back when you could,
easier stats,
Yeah, back when you could plan and you didn't have to cookie cutter, because the way that the game is now, and we touched on this last week, you've got to have your OP and your 4 warehouses and 3 of these and 2 of those, and everybody's base is the same.
Yeah.
And now Yeah, now because they've blocked this, it's not a case of that, well, you get 8 of these turrets and 8 of those, and you can only have the 2 defense. So now it kind of puts it back into our hands, and we can become more creative with our bases and channels and and those types of things. So I'm not looking forward to the time that it's going to take to get to know everything and to refit everything, but I am looking forward to the time when it's my design that could potentially make or break it, not that I've got 8 of these and 4 warehouses and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so, and a mirror of somebody else's base with a 2% difference because you've got a turret in different place, which is pointless, isn't it? Yeah, he's inside. Watch out. Hey, mate, you're right. And Nixon as well. So yeah, it is interesting. So there's a lot to do. And do you know what? It's really, really good that they've pushed it back a week, simply because the feedback that we did last week has actually come through, and they've gone, yeah. Because Templar was in there and he spotted a couple of things and that sort of stuff, and they needed addressing, and it would have made a farce of the release. So I'm hoping that the first thing I want to have a look at is actually some of the old holes that have been retrofitted, as I said about the weekend, that can't just go in and wipe out and clear bases because the retrofit stats are just a little bit skewed. Like rages and that sort of stuff, they were a little bit skewed and became all of a sudden overpowered. So how they're going to have to deliver that to make sure they're not, is going to be interesting, but it has to happen. So otherwise it'll just be a farce. So there is still work to do. And they did say they're going to do it as a flowing, didn't they? So it'll be on day one, they'll get you to do some stuff, and then they'll ask us some feedback, and then flow out and make some adjustments, and then day 2 will be slightly different, that sort of stuff. So it's all the fine tweaks now. So concept-wise, I think it's about there. But yeah, so rebalancing solutions, like they said, over damage pass-through removed. We've sort of hinted on that. Yeah, that's a godsend. So it's true figures now. So you haven't got to do this pie in the sky magic maths, which is brilliant as far as I'm concerned.
They said death of 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, adding the defensive bypass, to tier 7 ship weapons, which is decent. Okay, converting that percentage across deflection on the buildings hasn't been perfect, I have to say. The OP is like butter at the moment, but I'm sure they'll sort that out. Increasing building health to account for the changes. It's all fluid. That's what I'm saying. It's not the final iterations what we're seeing at the moment. Yeah, and you can see, Conqueror and Defender health. The Defenders are much stronger now. They're much better, and they actually have the capability of killing attacking ships. I actually took my Defenders out in the water, was doing some FVF with Agni and a few others and that sort of stuff, and just like one ship against another ship, and then using the new sort of like TAC mod and see if it would actually transfer their health to the key ship that's in my defense to make sure it stayed alive. Things like that, so nothing to actually do with base hitting, but just to see if ships were actually doing what they should be doing without having the implication of having turrets firing at the same time. So some quite good stuff. And that's the sort of stuff I'll be probably looking at on the stream and giving people some sort of food of thought of like, oh yeah, connect that with that and that sort of stuff. It's not technical stuff. It's just a case of it's more gaming. Then it's not like you haven't got to do magic numbers. It's just a case of if you position that there, position up there, that one will help that one, and that could overcome the person that's attacking you, or the other way around. But yeah. Yep. So. Yeah, so anyway, you can read the guys, but basically the bit I like here is turret defense is being added as a standard thing now to all the Conquerors. It's only 45%, so there is a bit of a loss, and you can top it up to 50%, and then maybe obviously with some of the TAC modules as well, you can get some sort of like extra, obviously, defense stats as well. 6% was sort of like the figure they were talking per obviously TAC mod on the back, so. It depends, not a huge amount. But the nice thing is, if you're going to get turret defense, what was a problem with all the other ones is like, siege targeting. You always had lots of building damage and turret damage and that sort of stuff, or wall damage. Sometimes you want to go and just pick out a couple of ships, i.e. prepping. So prepping can come back now because you can actually, I was doing a couple of builds where actually I had 0 building damage and 0 sort of like, turret damage, but I had a hell of a lot of firepower and I could go out and just prep out a couple of ships. Okay, so those ships did die, and that sort of stuff. But actually, when I went back out to fix them, it wasn't half-time fix, but it was only like, 2 coin to fix a whole prep fleet. I think that's pretty standard as it used to be in the old part of the game. So if you're into your PvP and that sort of stuff, you could have people in your alliance and just going back to prepping like they used to if they wish to. So, and then he can disappear, go and fix for an hour, and then the other person go and do the attack. So it should be a bit more fun, hopefully. I'm hoping so anyway, yeah. Things like the turrets and omega damage adjustments to take lower ship deflection into account, that sort of stuff. Defenders have had damage increase. They certainly have. Slightly a little bit too much in some areas, but that's been looked at, I know. And yeah, they still have a slightly shorter range than the Conquerors, but you can mess around with what you put in your base. Someone was going to say the other day that you couldn't put Conquerors in your base as part of your defense fleet. That's not true.
No, and you can also use those said Conquerors to drive into or to patrol your patrol range to meet the said attacking ships, and then your remote targeting kicks in. So slightly shorter range doesn't necessarily mean your ships are going to die in every battle.
No, exactly. So that's there. And it's I've had particular fun doing the base defense, because ultimately a lot of people in there were really the aggressive PvP type people, which is fantastic. So I thought, well, I'll go on the back foot and I'll go and I'll be the defender. And I had great fun defending against people and that stuff, and coming up with little ideas and and then thinking, well, what does this stat do now? What does that do? And that sort of stuff. So yeah, and to be honest, I mean,
there's been some creative. Some creative builds that have been coming in too. Damnation had a couple of really good ones, and I think it was either Templar or Laredo. But it's been, everybody like runs the Witch Doctors with the scatters or Witch Doctors with this, and now with all of these changes, it's been interesting seeing some of the creativity come back into it, and some of the fleets that are coming in, and this ship stuff comes in, does the prep and the pops the bubble pad and then does the rest of it. So yeah, I think your bubble pad's going to become very important again, like it used to be. Yes. I mean, up to especially the last 3 or 4 months, bubble pads meant nothing. It's definitely going to be important again to get a good bubble pad, I think, to be honest. But the nice thing is, like I said, it's not going to be the ever snail in a circle sort of stuff. There's going to be a cluster of 4 turrets here and a cluster of 4 turrets there, sort of stuff. With one warehouse providing support for the TAC mod, because that's for the fire support, because only one works. So there's a much more flex, I think, and much more opportunity. So the final stats, I don't know what they are. They were sort of up to 25% for the group of 4 turrets, but at least we haven't got the. We've only got so many turrets, and obviously to get two lots, you're going to use 16 turrets up straight away just to get 2 types of defense up. That's a waste of turrets. So it's quite nice that you only have to have 4 now. I quite like that idea. Yep, and you can take advantage, and because most people have got 8 and 8, and you're not able to defend against every damage type, and so now you can bring more in, and you may not have as much oomph as you did before with 8 ballistics, but now you can help protect against some of the other stuff, and so it's a lot more flexibility now.
Yeah, Nick was saying do the turrets have to be clustered? No, we don't, mate. So with 5 warehouses, you can have 1 turret, 1 warehouse, or 1 turret, 1 oil rig, and that sort of stuff. And so you can have lots. You can have them all over the place. So
you don't have to have everything stuck on your island with 4 warehouses. Now you can put stuff on water. You can, which is I think is really going to come back into play now, because before it was like everything on your island within a little tiny bit of your warehouses. Now you can put a lot more stuff on the water, be a lot more creative with what you're doing, and and have a good mix of turrets. And so they have to bring this type of ship in first, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so the content, basically, the value of it should be more understandable, and it should be far more easy to grasp. Like you say, remember the old DNX days and that sort of stuff. From what I've seen, it's been very similar to going, oh yeah, I get that, so I do that, and literally just see an instant value straight away. I was quite, and when I did that previous stream, literally just by adding on a weapon or adding on a thing, the damage just went straight up, and I was thinking, so right, okay. And what are my deflection? And it's just literally damage takeoff deflection equals leftover. Leftover is how quick you're going to die. So based off your armor. So it's really going back to sort of basics, and I quite like it. It'll catch a few people out, because the unlearning set process took me quite a bit, I have to say.
And knowledge piece. If you're part of an alliance and you have a Facebook page, please spam this, because there's so many people that are unaware that this is coming, or they have no idea of what's coming, or flat out ignoring it. But the notes are out there. We'll post the slides, but please, whatever you can do to get this information out to everybody, because what's going to happen is if somebody doesn't know about it, there's going to be 9 million questions in ally comms and regular comms the day afterwards. So whatever you can do to spread the word on this, help the game out by getting the info out to everybody.
Yeah, and like we said, sort of like the weekend, the comms blew up massively when obviously the sectors were consolidating. People were like, why have I moved sector?
Yep.
you know, what world am I in now, and that sort of stuff. It was like you're in the same world, you know, but different numbers. Yeah. So. Yeah, so it says that base combat should provide both players the opportunity to adapt on either, you know, a tactical or a strategic level. I found that to be true. I have to say, you know, tactics is one of my things I like playing with and that sort of stuff, you know, more than the math tactics of drawing people in, trying to give them a false sense of security, and then once they get a little bit too close, like spider traps, basically, they get into an area and all of a sudden they have no idea why they're dead. They're just dead, and that really amuses me, you know. Because you manage to sort of like outsmart them. So, you know, drawing people into with a false sense of security and then something from a different angle actually causes a lot of damage is quite fun. That's really good fun in base defense. So that is possible.
I can attest to that. Stay out of TSM spiderweb. It hurts.
Yeah, it caught a few people out, didn't it? But we've got some different ideas. I want to try some other stuff as well. So yeah, it's good fun. And I know Nick's a real big fan of that sort of stuff. You know, he likes his base always looks easy, but it catches out many people, you know. And I've seen a couple more, not just ours as well. Agni's base was pretty good. You know, I can see massive long channels coming back in as well. You know, so it should be interesting to see. You know, not just the switchbacks as well. There's various different things. You know, I see some new traps.
You know, you made a point. It's interesting because there are a lot of players that really don't get into the base hitting, but they are rabidly anal about their base. You know, they want to. The epitome for them is not going out and smashing somebody else's base. It's having a really high level player with the newest and greatest fleet built well, and then, you know, watching them sink in their channel. You know, and so for some people, the defense is the big side of it, and so I think they'll be happy with this.
Yeah. Just a question. Yeah, so next raid should be December 6th, by the way, if you're all interested. Which should be the first, obviously, of the new siege holes, because it was just asked in sidebar chat. So that was a tangent question, but I just thought I'd answer it straight away. Yeah, so fleet v fleet combat between players should be meaningful again. I like to see where that's going to go, I have to say. Yeah, it's... I haven't. I've done a little bit on the water. I did a little bit with Daniel the other night as well when we were on the last preview, and we had some fun. And it wasn't death by 1,000 cuts as well. It actually did work. So you know, you can outsmart people. What I do want to try this time is try some sort of subs, you know, gluts and that sort of stuff, and see if I can get them, because they've got a crazy amount of armor slots, haven't they? So see if I can get them to make them sort of interesting. Maybe we can prep the Dom things and, you know, mud gluts as we used to do. I don't know. We'll see what comes out. But try some stuff. Yep. So yeah, anyway, so this is the contentious one. Working with the community, hell, you know, I must have counted at least 7 alliances in there. You know, I know everybody can't get in there and that sort of stuff. I don't know what their prerequisite was to get in. I don't know. I know a couple of people got in, but they got kicked out because they were being arseholes, you know, being stupid.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have to. You have to have people in there that understand the mechanics, and you have to have people in there that defend and hit and also understand the game. And so logically, that's not going to be a brand new player that's only a level 50 or a level 60, you know. So you don't want to waste slots by having people in there that can't help. And so, yes, you're always going to see people from big alliances, but they're not all the big name alliances. There are people in there from, heck, there was one in there that I had to go look up. So, you know, you're going to have that mix of players, but it's always going to be the situation for PvP where it's, you know, people that are in the big ones. It's not because they're playing favorites or anything.
Yeah, and there were some untagged players in there as well. So, you know, that weren't in alliances at all. Just have been in the game a long time and still like doing things. So, you know, it's random, and I understand, you know, if you didn't get the call and that sort of stuff, you know, everyone goes like, well, that's it, they've got an advantage and that sort of stuff. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I suppose they have.
There isn't, because, you know, if somebody takes the time and let's say the last preview, if anybody went out there and started changing their base based on the last preview, guess what? They're going to have to redo their base after the next preview, and then when it goes live, there's no, and I don't know really of anybody that's making any changes based on what's in the preview, because as you can see here, they've not done just one, there's been 4 of them, and every single one of them has been so vastly different.
Yeah, and if number 4 doesn't give them the results they're looking for, I got a funny feeling they'll still defend. They'll delete it again and move on another week. You know, I don't feel them releasing it and then go, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to do a week check, because that would just be disastrous. You know, so I'm not making any changes simply because I know the fact they're going to do the cost cutting bit later on, sort of stuff. So that'll be less time to do it, so which is less titanium and less uranium and less everything. So you know, it's
and these
definitely
have
the way to go.
Yeah, and just because I know, well, people may be aware or they may not be, but you know, previews are not normally. I mean, they're about 3 or 4 hours. They've been running them for 24 hours, and the next one, from my understanding, is going to be much longer. So they're not little short things; they're long and involved, and it's people from all over the world. And so, yeah.
Yeah, so if I can get Daniel in again, I think what we'll try and do is try and work out a bit of PV. You know, it's a bit of FEF stuff as well, and then just look at some attacking and that sort of stuff. I mean, I did a little bit of a video afterwards, but to be honest, it was a little bit biased because I was doing it from the base defender's perspective, so maybe it was a little bit too biased on that, and it looked a little bit one-sided. No, it was totally one-sided.
No, I just read what Nobby wrote in chat.
Oh, the fact that he couldn't get it in, and he's been playing as long as I have. So yeah, and even he didn't get in the preview. So yeah, unlucky, mate. You're my technical support. You know that. Right. Yeah. So, that's the bit about alliances. It is what it is. And what their criteria was for picking, not my business, to be honest. But I did see an awful lot of people in there from a couple of people I had never even heard of, which is nice and they certainly knew what they were doing. So, I've been in the game since virtually day dot. And I know most people that have been in the long term, but there was still a couple that surprised me with really low IDs and long term stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, here we go. So what's the transitional smooth? I read through a couple of times because actually I thought it was something really aggressive towards certain people, but it's not actually. So, hey, Daniel, you all right, mate?
Yep, I'm good.
Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. We're just smashing through the stuff here that obviously WrongThinker's put out. So not overly new, but we're just going to go into it a little bit broad. I'm not reading it verbatim, but yeah. So the next week will be the release of the reduction in build and refit times. Now, if it's a refit and you've got to coin it straight away, that would be slightly annoying because obviously that takes into account obviously the resources as well. But we'll see what it is. But they do say it's up to 70%, to allow people to just experiment. So that would be quite handy if it doesn't have to take in the resources consideration as well, because some of it's going to be a bit expensive. There is no bounty this month, but obviously there is another event which we'll talk about in a second. And the interesting thing they said, which we have not seen, is Tier 8 is not supposed to replace Tier 7 this time. Okay, so it's not a step jump. What it's supposed to be is supposed to complement the Tier 7. So I'm intrigued as to what that means, and if it actually comes to fruition as well. So we'll see what that. We won't know. We'll have to give it 3 or 4 months, but then we'll see if it does complement the Tier 7, and if it is interchangeable. That's what I'm interested in, to be honest, because then that provides quality content that's worth researching and having. We're all sick of Tier 6 recycle, Tier 5 recycle, Tier 4 recycle, So if we can have some things that complement things, and work in tangent with or in technical capability groups and that sort of stuff, then that's fine, with really understandable basic damage values, etc., then that's got to be a winner as far as I'm concerned. So. But we'll see. And yeah, the last little bit that they're locking out that's a part fix, isn't it? They're locking out the PvP holes from sniping PvE fleets. So that's the gluts from killing out your thingies. I know there's other ships that are out there to do it, Fangtooths, etc., but that's a start. I don't know. I still think chores should be done by your tower, personally, but that's just me. I suppose
that would be nice, but still, even with the tower, even if you exit hot, you can get snagged.
Yeah, I'd rather do it without even have to leave your base, but I'm sure then it's probably up to abuse of some description, and this is probably why it's not been done,
Yeah.
But yeah,
and I don't think this is. I know this is being implemented, but I think I was reading somewhere, and I can't remember if it was on Discord or the forum, but that this wasn't going to be the only solution. That this was.
It's a solution, yeah, but it's not the solution, yeah.
Yeah, it's part of a solution. And yeah, I mean, you can take your fangs in with ships and potentially kill other ships, but there's ways to get around that. But yeah, it would be nice to completely block non PvE fleets from getting done.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, you can go into like battles and that sort of stuff, expeditions, from within your base. You haven't got to go anywhere and that sort of stuff. So it'd be nice if you could just go in and say, right, we've got this TLC, and just start it. Pick a fleet from your dock and just hit a button inside your base and just do the goddamn TLC. It's annoying that thing's got to be outside your base, because that would just relieve half the problems. I mean, why'd you have to go out onto the water to do FVF, to do the FM? I don't quite get it. Apart from obviously people like spying on other people, but there's no benefit from going out there. I don't see the need of it, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe then
save a lot of map room and lag as well.
Yeah. Do you know what I would like as well is, I mean, I know we've sort of consolidated and they've made the targets a lot smaller and that sort of stuff, for the PvE content. But why it could just be like number 57U, number 38T, and that sort of stuff. So titanium, uranium, that sort of stuff. I don't really care whether it's a such and such resource. I don't give a monkeys what the name is. It's just give it a U or a T or something next to it, and it's a titanium target. And it's going to take up far less text everywhere at the moment all over the screen. There's freaking tons of it, and it's all overlapping, and it's just like, I just hate it. Causes lag. I'm still like
drive-through menu in my base. I'd like to hit some titanium targets, please.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that'd be slick.
I'm very
happy. Yeah, well, using the expedition thing, then that's.
Yeah, but the targets on the map, fine, no problem at all if that's what they're going to be. But they don't need all those big long words and that sort of stuff, as far as I'm concerned. Just call it, 87T. It's titanium. We know what it is then. Everyone will get used to it very quickly. You're going to look for titanium, so it may as well just say T on it. And if it's uranium, it's U. I don't know. Anyway, well, that's my common sense approach and keeping it simple, stupid. But right. And did you say, tier 8? So this is sort of like in link. So yes, this is the bit where I said, but basically tier 8 has been designed to coexist with tier 7, not replace it. That's it in a nutshell. So let's just see what happens. Bear in mind, we have an event coming up that's going to replace, obviously, this month's bounty. Simply, it's a PvE event, which we've been confirmed as well. And that is supposed to then give you the first chance to get an eye on the tier 8 number 1 item, which is a new Conqueror hull. Okay, we'll talk about how that's been released and what I don't know what it is yet, but how it's been released in a moment. But yeah, I mean, I'm not reading all these slides verbatim, that sort of stuff. The slides will be uploaded later on, so you can read them back to yourselves, and you can take them away and then give them to your alliances as well, because they're free to share. So at least you've got all the details going right back, and you can quote this stuff as well. So
yep.
Yeah, so, it's been a long time coming. You're not wrong. We've been talking about this for, what, 4 months, probably, would you say?
Wasn't it year-end last year, Dave, we first started talking about fixing PvP?
Fixing,
with,
but the actual refactor thing, about 4 months, would you say? I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah.
The actual term refactor, I think, kicked in sort of like back in the summer, didn't it, sort of stuff. So, and they said it wouldn't be quick. We sort of suggested at the end of the year, so, hey, we're sort of there, aren't we? Tier 8, we always have said on the TFC that we believe that the Tier 8 was going to roll out for Christmas, and lo and behold, that's basically where it is. Okay, it's actually a couple of weeks early, but it means then by the time you've won the darn thing and then got it ranked up, it'll be December. So be interested to see what it is. I'm really going to be intrigued on the first one and see what the stats are. Clearly, it's not going to be the go-to hull. But what I would like is to see the tier 8 stuff come out in groups or something like that, rather than that slow-ass drag-out thing that we had last year and then didn't get half the brimming holes until like the middle end of the summer, which was crazy, to be honest. But if they do enhance maybe we don't need so many. If they do just enhance tier 7 stuff, then maybe we just don't need as many as what
and that's a really key point that you just said about not having to have so much, because I don't know a single pirate in the game right now that loves getting 53 new things every 2 weeks. So hopefully, because they've thought this through and the way that they're doing this and the complement versus replace, that maybe we can slow down some of the content releases, because I like playing with new toys and I like building new toys, but by the time my new toys are built, they're dead and wasted, and there's been a counter that's put out for it. I'd like to use my new toys. And so if we can slow down some of the content so that people can actually go out there and enjoy them, then I think there would be a lot more activity.
Do you know what? I don't mind that there's actually quite a few items. What I want is to be able to choose the items that I want to increase my toolbox, of tricks. So if I only want, say, do you know what, I can skip that one because it's not going to help me in the defending concept that I'm using at the moment. I don't need it and that sort of stuff. I'll wait till like in 3 months' time where it's actually in the whole store and I can get it for a reduced rate. I don't want it right now because it's not part of my plan. The problem is that there's been in 2018 is you've rushed to go, that's the latest thing, and you haven't really got a clue whether it's going to be good or not. And half the ships have been shite, basically. They've been rubbish. Half the defenders have just been pointless. They've been sort of like speed bumps, as we said. And the other half of the attacking ships, because, impact cruisers are amazing, weren't they? Apart from a death from 1,000 cuts, they've been cack. The missile chuckers have been great up to a point, and then they were pointless, and they're just starting to come back again, and nobody wanted the freaking, the corrosive stuff to start with, and now they do, and nobody wanted concussive, and all of a sudden they're starting to think, well, maybe these concussive ships are okay now. So some of the stuff has been decent, some of it has been absolutely cack. It really has, and that's because the release of the way the turrets have happened, and obviously the armor sets and that sort of stuff. So now we're back in a sort of a logical start point. It'd be nice if you could just start down a path and then just go, right, that's actually going to achieve my aim. And then if there's a hull in 3 months' time to go, yeah, that's going to make my aim even stronger, rather than just chasing ship after ship after ship, because that's just ludicrous. And then you're never caught up, and you can never plan to do something else as well. So
yep,
we'll see. Anyway, right, there you go. That's WrongThinker, done and dusted. It just basically reiterates all the stuff that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks and that stuff, but it's all put in one succinct post on the forums. It's there to have a look at, but we've got the key points here anyway. Done. Is there anything you want to add, Daniel? Is that about it as far as you're concerned, mate?
Not from what I heard, you pretty much nailed it.
Good. Okay, right, then that's enough, because if you want more, go to the forums. Right, calendar changes. Been quite a few because, as we said, some things have dropped off and some things have come on. So in concept, the features roadmap hasn't greatly changed. However, we all know that the 8.46, this week's update, has been pushed 1 week to the right. So there is basically no update apart from the FM changes and the bounty cancellation. And then obviously the other event is going to kick out instead. So Outpost 11 PvP update. This update includes new levels of defense platforms, portals, and walls. That would be interesting when it does come. And an increase of base power capacity. Nick was talking about that in sidebar chat a minute ago. I've never run out of base power, to be honest, as of yet. And in the preview, Robin, guess I'm wrong, we haven't had an increase of base power at all yet, have we? We haven't seen it.
no.
So we haven't had the additional bit, because I've looked, at the front end running my portal. I don't put armor on my turrets and that sort of stuff. All the portal, I want it to all get smashed up so I can bubble quickly. So, but maybe then with the final bit of the upgrade and some new turret updates, we're going to need it. I don't know. So
I'm sure that's the deal. They're
we're
table
in
for the future.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
I don't like that super sweet improvements to upgrading walls. I've still got walls from level 5 that I haven't done. So
is Venom still there? What level are your walls you're on, mate? Because I've seen some really low level walls.
Venom got some walls back. For a while there, he had no walls. But
yeah, he's got a few, but they're all funny different colours. So
yeah, if you're somebody like me and Lazy Roo and doesn't do them until she absolutely has to, you might want to start doing those wall updates.
Yeah. Let's hope that you can click the button and it only costs 3 coin to do a whole set. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Because it's just starting instead of 2,500 coins, which is just wow, get real. Anyway.
Well, and resource, and this is the thing. This is where the test is going to come in for kicks on the consolidation, because if they drop OP11, walls, turrets, upgrades, and everything else, half of those require base parts. They all require resources. They're all going to require uranium. So that's going to be the test to, are there enough targets on the map to support how many people are in the sector?
I plan to get up early, and when all you guys in the States are asleep, that's what I'm going to do mine.
Well, I know, but still, even that, though, I mean, because if you think about it, if you've got a good fleet, you can go out and kill 4 or 5 SSRBs, and if you've got 4 other... and then Mr. Nobby, who goes out and takes everything, and doesn't leave anything for anybody else. So this is going to be their first real test from a map target standpoint as to, are we spawning enough? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm interested, I must admit. Now, I mean, it's sort of settled now. People have used a lot of their sort of like free relocations and that sort of stuff. That's and that's going away, by the way, on Wednesday. But I've got a bit on that later on. Yeah, so you know, it's been interesting, and yeah, it's because what was 217, 57 as it is now. You know, it's definitely filling up with people without a doubt. It's much busier than what it was a few days ago. So yeah, you're right. I don't know if there's going to be enough targets. That's part of the point. If they do increase the targets even more, or the spawn rate, you know, sort of stuff, then maybe they'll have to reduce the writing on because it's getting really, really crowded, massively crowded, visually, you know. So I don't know. But yeah, SSRBs, 36 of them. You know, it doesn't take very long. You know, to if you want to do like 5 or 6 turret sets, and you want to, you know, do walls, and you want to do buildings, and you want to change your, you know, attack mods, it's going to take a lot of resources. And you know, and there's, you know, even if you've only got 40 or 50 people in your alliance, well, you're going to want at least 2 or 3 SSRBs each. You know.
Yep.
So it's going to be, and there are definitely several hundred people in one alliance now, without a doubt. So yeah, it'd be interesting. Anyway, right. So I thought we'd just talk about this one quickly. So I just captured that information, Robin, and dropped it onto this slide here to make it visually presentable. Because, God, that skin's awful, isn't it? It's just freaking
I saw that
horrendous.
last night. I was like, oh my gosh.
Just on principle, I'm not getting that because it's ghastly.
Some kind of sort of retro, you know, I'm thinking like shag carpet. Obviously, no. I'm not a fan.
It's Robot's fault. It was his idea. He had a brain fart, apparently. So, bacon, crispy. Yeah, okay. Now, this event has actually annoyed a few people. However, reading between the lines, let's just dissect it a little bit. So, okay, it's on and around the Thanksgiving weekend. I can't help that. You know, I live over in the UK, so personally, I don't really give a ruts. But I know, you know, 80% of the population, sorry, about 70% of the Battle Pirates population actually live in the States. Acknowledged. Right. Okay. So it is going to have an impact on your holiday weekend. But again, we've had a raid over Christmas as well. So, you know, but still people got 8.5 billion points, whatever it was. So people are still out there doing this stuff. But yeah, so this thing bringing on the bacon, like I said, it's a PvE event and not a PvP event. So there is no PvP for this month that's been forced upon us, okay, which is nice. So that's helping us out with a refactor piece, okay. Now it says, interestingly, this activity will reward prizes based on 2 things. Alliance leadership position on the board, and also an individual's leadership position on a board. But it also says, as well as having a huge reward store for prizes to choose from, no matter how many points you get.
Yeah.
Now to me, it looks like the next bit is the most important bit, because this is what's people, that's got people in arms. Well, if you're in a good alliance and you're also a good individual, then you're going to get a double whammy. But looking at the next bit down, where it says, this also marks the release of our very first tier 8 available in the store. So that's the sort of 4 little words that's important. So yes, it's because it does say after that then, as well as in the leaderboards. So clearly it's one of 2 things here. Either if you're on the lead of the leaderboards, you might get the whole for free. But technically, if you're on the lead of the leaderboards, you're not getting anything for free because you've just spent an absolute fortune. Or it'll come at a set price and then you can get it from the store. Don't know yet because I haven't seen anything about the event, but that's how I'm reading it anyway. But it's interesting, you know. It says then basically the person at the top of the leaderboard are going to get the bacon skin. Well, if that's what you're giving people, crack on.
They can have it.
They can have it because it's disgusting. Okay.
Yeah, I was a little worried when I first read this too, because I've got a mixed alliance. I mean, I've got people that go out and smash bases. I've got people that like defense. I've got like people that just like doing the raids in the FM. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And even Nick mentioned it too, as you know, little alliances or not really big alliances are going to suffer. But it sounds like, based on what they've got here, is that yes, there'll be cool things available, but they're not locking the new hull into that, you know, leaderboard thing. So this is not a case of where only the big alliances are going to have this new shiny hull. It sounds like everybody will have access to this. And so I really hope that's what's going to happen.
So a little bit like Bounty, by the sounds of it, probably would have been released in Bounty, but is actually now being released in this event. It's available in the store, so you just got to get a right amount of points, I don't know what the targets are going to be. I don't know what the price is going to be. I ain't got a freaking clue, to be honest. No other information apart from that. But I don't think, just because you're the top alliance, nobody else is going to get it. I don't think that's going to be the case. That's not how it reads anyway. So it seems a little bit more, participation friendly now, from what I've read it anyway. So we'll see. Unless they link it do you remember that when the electronic countermeasure little ship came in, it was the top 3,000 people got it. I don't know if you remember that one, but that was crazy, that one. And that was like matchsticks in the eyeballs, and it ended up being not the best hull in the world anyway. So, but if this tier 8 comes out now, and sorry, Daniel, you got to shoot. I know you got some birthday to sort out. So not your own.
Yeah, sweet 17. It only happens once for your daughter, so you got to be there.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say it was your daughter, mate, that's 17, but there you go. You just told the world. So there you go. Happy 17th birthday to your daughter. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everyone.
All the best, mate.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye.
No harassing Daniel, all right? He's got a 17-year-old daughter. Yeah. But mine's much older than that. I'm not bothered anymore. She's an adult. She can behave herself and do her own thing as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, back to this. So I'm generally quite happy, Robin. I think you're probably in a better state as well. Because I've been reading it on our page, and there's been lots of quite inflamed posts and that sort of stuff on the forums and on Discord as well. And I don't think that is going to be the way it's been delivered. But as ever, it's like a one paragraph, and then that's all you get. So until we see the final sort of delivery of how it's been delivered and what the prize point is and what the actual prize list is, then I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, it is what it is. Right.
I'm okay with. I was just going to say. I mean, I enjoy events, but so it sounds like this is a place where you can get the tier 8 PvP. I do hope though that, because not only is this over Thanksgiving, which does affect the US, I'm hoping that this is not a case of that you have to get other prizes, that you have to get the other prizes and make people commit, kind of like the last. What was it? The Flying Dutchman that we just did.
Oh,
If these are PvP things and related to PvP, then fine. But let's not commit another weekend to where people, especially this weekend, where people have to get on and do this kind of stuff, or they're going to fail in the next raid type thing.
Do you know what? I really do, in some respects, because it's skipping anyway. If there is a battle, as it says in the last sentence, then for the top spot on the individual leaderboard to receive the bacon skin, knock yourselves out. Go on, go for it. Do 10 gazillion points, because I wouldn't drive that around personally.
Well, and it's the Inferno Dragon, so it's not the Greta Dragon. So the only people that's going to get to see that skin is anybody that's watching your battle or you. So.
Yeah. It's a bit like getting the Halloween ones on your raid fleet as well. You're like, yeah, I've got it sorted. And you're like, no, I can see it now because my Occams is still the same color, or my anyway. But yeah, so it's it's there. Let's see how it's delivered. But in general, it doesn't read as bad as
it's fun. Initially. Yeah. I hope it's fun and not a grind, and that's what I want. Something fun.
All I'm hoping is it brings people basically the whole range of PvP ships, the whole fleet. Every hull that's come out the P7 is in that. That'd be really good, and all the weapons. And then crack away and get as many points as you want, or as many items as you can get. That would be ideal. Then everybody's caught up, and we can get on with with the tier 8 stuff, which should harmonise with tier 7. So we'll see. Rightio. So the November FM cycles, so there's 4 cycles this time, which is interesting because obviously the raid doesn't kick in, and just where the days fall, the raid week actually would be the week of the 6th. Yeah. That's the Thursday 6th.
Tokens.
So yeah, we got plenty of tokens, which is nice, So they have delayed. Obviously, you keep the ones you've got at the moment if you're not needing them at the moment for your raid fleet, but or if you're building those goddamn Apollo things. But I'm keeping as many tokens as I can for my PvP stuff. So yeah, so 4 cycles this time, and prizes. And what do we got then? So actually not a lot. So this thing here, if you've got obviously the Brennus, then this is the new special for the flagship. Nice, because it gives you a critical hit chance, obviously 175%, and the chance has gone to 35%. So it is worth collecting. Total weight's only 8% as well, so they haven't really changed anything else apart from that, which is quite nice. I think quite like that one. And the same thing for the Occams as well. This is another good one. Splash 105, explosive damage up to 98. That's good. I mean, that's a hell of a lot.
Yes.
I played with this one already. Put it on my ship because I did this. The is it the Fang? Anyway, the skirmisher TLC that was on last week, and then I basically fitted this on and a couple of other items, and I did it for free. Just used it 3 days worth of tokens, so it didn't cost me a darn thing.
Yep.
The prices aren't cheap in the FM, I have to say. Just get everything, it's like 15 million, but to get the basics, it wasn't too bad because you don't need all the prizes.
I just pick and choose. I'll get this week and the other one next week, and I no longer am to the point where it's like, I've got to get everything this week.
No,
so
I mean, for me, that's pointless because I don't have bat race, so it's irrelevant to me. I'll get it when I get it, sort of stuff, and if I get it at all. Whereas the other one is very important because it's key for me because it's not key, but it'll definitely make my ships go better. So I got to grab that one instead.
If you go back up to that slide again, I just want to say that one, the artwork on that is awesome.
Yeah, I like it. It's almost like a set of dodgy headlights with some stuff coming out of events and stuff. Yeah, it's quite cool. Artwork is definitely improved over the last 12 months. It's really, they have stepped up, haven't they? It's 3D now as opposed to 2D, so
yes,
it doesn't have help as well. So that's the two flagship ones, one for each opposing type. This thing here obviously goes on your turrets and that sort of stuff. So this is the thing that obviously, and I would grab this one if I was you because I'm hoping the stats will stay the same, but I think this would be quite nice to bring Executioner 2s back into the game because projectile speeds up there straight away and damage at 15%. Bear in mind, duplicate Aura Cap 1, so it probably won't stack with fire support. Just bear that in mind because this one meets up very similar to what the one does for the explosive for the obviously the mortars. So if the mortar one won't stack, then I doubt this one will stack either, to be honest. But actually, I might not get that confirmed. But I'll be very surprised if it does because they just said Aura Cap is 1. That's it. So, and they've already said that the mortar critical can't stack with the standard fire support 2. So this would not surprise me if that was the same. Because the stats are basically the same, but it's obviously 4 missiles instead. Yeah, and then this one here as well. So we actually got some corrosive defense now as well for the turrets, which is nice. Armor points 500. Yeah, well, we'll see where that sits out once we've had the refactor and that sort of stuff. So
yeah, and this is the one that we've been waiting for. So this was the last piece, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But everything else.
Yeah, I think we've got the full set now, haven't we? To be honest.
Yep.
So yeah, that was handy. And what else do we got then? Oh yeah, so some pretty non-interesting stuff really. So Cover of Darkness. Fantastic. We've done this one before. People said the damage went down again last week. Was it last week it was on again? It was, wasn't it? Yeah, so, yeah.
No, last week was Whiplash and Devil Driver.
Yeah, I mean, the dates are wrong there, but don't worry about the dates. I couldn't bother to change them, to be honest. But, it starts this week and it goes on. It lasts the same sort of time. So, it's been out 3 times now. Is it 3rd time? It's been out a few times. Yeah. Anyway, I think this is the 3rd time round. So, first time it was horrendous. Second time round wasn't so bad. At least get to price pack 3, blah, and you should be good, to be honest. Yeah, that's the cover darts. The same obviously thing, but for the Occams. Yeah, again, nail heads, they're great fun. Yep. And then obviously there's some good build tokens in there if you feel you need to. I don't, once you've got them stacked up in 10, you can't overstack. Remember that in mind. So. Yeah, I know Apex, I'm slacking on the slides. Yeah, I should have changed the dates, but there we go. Yeah, you can only stack up 10. So if you're already up there, then don't bother. I've got a couple of this one to get just because I've used up a couple of tokens. But you don't need to do it all. Just do what you need. That one's not too bad.
And this is those 2 are the Manti ones, right?
Yeah.
And if you tried them before and you got eviscerated, and you've done a little bit more to your fleet, give them a go again. If you can, maybe you can get a little bit further with the reduced damage and maybe more, because I know it's been 2 months, I think, or at least a month since we've seen this. So, that's time to finish a ship. So maybe get a little bit further this time. Yeah,
good point. Titan Rising, it's nice to see this one back. Still haven't got the engines into it. I wish they'd bring the other engines in. We haven't had the other engines in a TLC for such a long time. It's almost like they could do a price pack 4.5 or something, because it's nice to have, stuff, but it'd be nicer to have all the stuff. When was the last time the final engine was in it? We haven't seen it for ages. So.
God, it's been like 3 or 4 months. I think it's been a long while.
Yeah, and people really want it. So, but anyway, this is nice. And even if you're up to speed and that sort of stuff, it's good because you can get some upgrade tokens as well, just to have in the bank. So it's just a stack up. So I do this one just for the fun of doing it, because it gives you some tokens that you can use for any mild adjustments and upgrades, and it doesn't cost you anything at all. There was another TLC, which is a shame it's not here, because it gave you the Hyper 20s, but they started to run it in the test and it went all goofed up, so they've taken it out for this week, so it's not going to turn up, which is a bit of a shame, really, to be honest, because you could have got 5 Hyper 20s, which are pretty good, handy little.
Yeah, we just talked about that last week. I saw the thing last night when I did this. I was like, oh my god, cool, sweet, coming out. And then
yeah, and I think it was in response to the people wanting it, and that sort of stuff, and then they've run it, and obviously, a TLC is created and that sort of stuff. It's created a month ago and 2 months ago, that sort of stuff. And then the game gets updated and that sort of stuff. And then they bring the TLC back online again. They go, oh, the things we've done updating has now killed the event that we've.
And that brings up a good point. A side note here. I think the same thing has happened with the Reaver Tide, and Kix, I think through Laredo, has actually come back and said the Reaver Tide has been shelved too, because something in one of the updates upset the apple cart on that. So that's why we're not seeing the Reaver Tide either. Yeah,
that's a good short version of it. I actually know what the actual problem is, and it's even more sneaky than that. But yeah, so people were taking advantage of something in the Reaver Tide. So that has been turned off for the foreseeable future, yes, anyway, but yes. So some people were caught doing something they shouldn't have been done. So that's not coming back until it's fixed. Yeah. Well, that's the information I got. Right. Okay. So Titan Rising doesn't change. Okay. Enjoy it. I've seen it on the Megaship page as well. People have been talking about it. Go on that page as well. It's really, really good, because there's actually a flow on there, a really good video of where to put your modules, so that each level you go into, you take the least amount of damage possible. It's really, really good. If you just go in the same for all of them, it's not so good. But if you move things around, because they show you on the video where the ships are coming from and that sort of stuff. So if you put all the damage, most damage in one area, you get far less damage on your Hyperion. So I followed it last time, and it made a heck of a difference for me, I have to say.
Yeah, for some that can make or break whether you get through or not.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I'm not pretty bothered about whether it's a rocket strike module, whether it's a freaking drone bridge module with missiles on it or rockets on it, to be honest, because everyone goes and puts frame throwers on the darn things anyway, and then extends the range, and then the actual things that's on the drone itself doesn't fire in the end. But so what? The point is, there's extra build tokens there as well, which is for module upgrades. So it's all good to stack. Ready ho. So yeah, Titan's back out again, but it would really be nice if they could squeeze in the engine one as well at the same time. Last and not least, bug fixes and tuning. Hey, that's not bad. 24 slides in 1 hour. Wow. Smashing for them. Right. So relocation timers are returning to their normal cooldown. Okay, then. So bear this in mind. You can only hop, skip, and jump up until now, 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday, the 14th. I don't know if it's like every day or what. I haven't moved once myself yet, I must admit.
They're for a while you could do it like every hour, I think, because they were having some issues with some alliances got split up, and I think they might have forgotten to turn that off. So I know people that were like bouncing around every 20 minutes.
Ford was one of them. Ford bounced into mine, bounced out,
everybody's
bounced around.
bases, and then 30 minutes later he was gone again, and it was like, how did you get that? But
yeah, there's a few people were hopping in, hopping out, and that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was 10 minutes. Yeah, brother says
it was 10 minutes.
It was 10 minutes at one stage. It's just crazy. So that's stopping on Wednesday. So if you want to go and jump somewhere else, I mean, it's still not Interworld. It's still within the same world and that stuff. But if you want to jump somewhere, you can jump out the world, though, can't you? In fact, yes, you can. You can jump out the world, do a base hit, and then jump back out again if you really want to.
That's what people have been doing.
Yeah, including my brother, because we were having a right laugh this week. He was basically messing about, which was very funny. But that's part of the game. I wish they could keep it up going. I wish you could do that. For 2 days, you have one chance. One chance a month where you could just do 6 jumps in a day. That'd be hysterically funny.
Well, somebody posted a poll on the Kickside page, and I told them to go ahead and post the same thing on the TFC page. It would be nice if they could shorten down that 7-day thing. I can't really think of a reason as to why it needs to be 7 days. If it's like twice a week even would be better. But because now we've got smaller worlds and smaller people, and it would be nice to be able to move around a little more than that.
But that's like tier 7 turrets only taking 12 days, and yet the other ones take 24.
Yeah, I know.
Duh. Duh.
But it has been fun, though. I mean, there are people that, you know, sit and stay in the same place, but it has been fun seeing people just jump in and out and do stuff. And so
wouldn't it be funny if the base relocator was on for, like, it was a randomizer? All of a sudden, as you logged in, it went, you have a 24-hour window now to jump 7 times. Go.
Yeah, well, you know. I actually have seen an uptick in PvP. So, you know, Kix, if you're listening, if people can do this and go out and hit more, and I mean, obviously, you know, lock it down for raids and what have you and everything else, but allow a little bit more time, you know, to be able to relocate and move around. And
the word's fun, isn't it? Allow a little more time for fun.
Yeah. Nobby wanted to lead a raid somewhere the other day, and I was thinking, you know, it would be nice if you could jump into a world and go smash everybody else up in the next day league.
And then hop out again, and then prepare yourselves, because
you're like 24 hours, once every 24 hours. But yeah,
it'd be good fun. Yeah. Anyway, so Primus is the Primus TLC, like I said, is out of action at the moment. So hopefully that'll come back at a later stage as well. And it's nice because not many people have got the Hyper 20s, and they're pretty decent. So we'd like all the hypers apart from Hyper 10, which is pointless. He's not bother, to be honest. And yeah, general bug fixes and tuning. So that's great. And I think that's it. It is. Right. Good. We hit exactly on the hour. That wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Blimey.
I just have a quick shout out, though, to a brand new grandbaby pirate that was born a couple of hours ago. Not mine, but a couple of hours ago. So big congratulations and a shout out for Caden. So happy to hear that, and all the best for him.
Hey, cool. That's right then. When's his base come online?
Well, if I know his granddaddy, there'll be one out there later on today.
Yeah, not that my brother's got one for his son, but he's got one for his son. But hey ho, not to worry. Yeah, right. So there we are. That's it. We've come to the end of another show. It was a bit texty this week. I do apologize, but ultimately that information, has to periodically come out. And rather than reading the wall of text, we've shown you the wall of text. Like I said, the slides will be uploaded later on. You can download them and send them off to your alliances and let them read them in slow time, that sort of stuff. I'm interested in this, this bacon event, that sort of stuff. If it's PV targets and that sort of stuff, but then again, obviously, if they are going to allow us then to catch up on, I'm hoping it's the tier 7 across the board. That'd be great fun. Almost like a PvP raid store sort of stuff. Without having to use PvP ships. So anyway. We'll see what comes. I don't know. Enjoy the rest of the week. And those that are available, please do have a chance to log in if you see it come up. And I'll do some streaming. I'm sure others will as well, but I'll do some streaming anyway. We'll see how it goes. And if there's something specifically you want me to build, come on the live show and that sort of stuff. Say, TSM, look at this. I've got every single freaking hull and nearly every single blueprint. There's not much I do. I'm a bit of a blueprint collector. So if you want me to build something, it ain't costing me nothing. I'll just go dig, or you copy and paste the text in, and I'll copy it and I'll slam it in, and we'll go and do something with it. I don't really mind. It doesn't bother me at all.
That's something else that Kix has done too that I think is phenomenal. Because of people's schedules and everything else. When we go into the test region, we actually get everything. So it's not like, well, if you've got somebody and he doesn't have this hull or that hull. So we actually have access to all of the tech and all of the components that are out there. So that we can test properly. So yeah, anything that people want, whatever flavor it is, it can be done.
For the weekend, I want your thoughts. Think ahead, okay? I want to now we've had the consolidation. I want your thoughts now on insecting. Is it a thing of the past, and does it matter anymore? Don't need an answer now, but just pause on that because that's something I'm going to bring up at the weekend, because I think the consolidation has made a whole difference in the whole concept of how we play PvP. But something to think about. Insecting. Worthwhile, irrelevant, or still annoying. But there we go. Right. Thanks, Robin. Pleasure as ever.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
Thanks all you guys in the Sideboard chat, and we'll see you out there. Take it easy. Good night.
Bye, everybody.